An age-old issue is re-emerging, whether the U.S. should have a military draft. This report from the Washington Post just days ago claiming some in former President Trump's camp specifically are considering bringing back the draft. Now, Trump has since called mandatory military service a ridiculous idea, sharing that the story was a failed attempt to damage him with voters, saying he's, quote, never even thought of that idea. Well, at this point, it has been more than 50 years since anyone has been drafted into the U.S. military. Currently, about 1.3 million people, that is less than 1% of the population, serves in the armed forces. Recruiting Americans to join the military has been tough in recent years. This year represents the smallest active duty force since 1940. And just last year, the military services fell short of the Pentagon's recruiting goal by about 41,000. Now, officials at the Department of Defense say recruiting challenges are, quote, complex and multifaceted. Here to provide more insight is NewsNation national security contributor Lieutenant General Richard Newton, a former U.S. Air Force Assistant Vice Chief of Staff who spent more than 3 decades in the military. Happy Father's Day. Thanks for making the time for us today.
Thank you, Natasha. Always great to be with you, and happy Father's Day to everyone going out there. Thank you.
How concerning is it this year representing the smallest active duty force since 1940? I mean, have the threats to our nation decreased?
Well, no, I think the global picture, and you and I've talked about this many times, I've never seen, certainly in my 30 plus years on active duty and the 10 years hence, that more of a what I would call a chaotic global picture with Ukraine and Russia, Israel being attacked brutally by Hamas back on October 7th, and of course China growing in their military capabilities, and not necessarily just in the Asia-Pacific region, but around the world. So it's a very challenging time, but nonetheless, as you indicated, we haven't had a draft since 1973. We have fell short of our recruiting goals in 2023. My sources tell me for 2024, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Space Force it's likely they're going to meet their recruiting goals. The Navy's going to fall short about 6,000, but nonetheless, it is a national security issue that we are not meeting our recruiting goals, and it's going to have an impact on our military, not only for today, Natasha, but for many years to come.
What does the impact actually look like? Because we hear this a lot, that recruitment is a struggle, that thousands of people short in different arms here. What does it actually mean and look like on the ground?
Well, first and foremost, I want our viewers to understand, and certainly the American people, we still have the absolute best military in the world. We have certainly very capable technology and weapon systems and so forth. But Natasha, what makes our military great and far better than any other military in the world is our men and women, all volunteers. You had up on the screen there, it said 1.3 million men and women serve in military. Actually, that's active duty. Mm-hmm. You've got another about 700,000. Part of those are in our National Guard and also in our reserve forces, and their service is just as important as those who serve on active duty. But the fact that we fell short last year will have a ripple effect through the years. When I testified in Congress, both in the House and Senate, I mentioned every time I testified, or at least was asked, that we should not take our recruiting of our young men and women for granted at all. Just as important with recruiting, it's retaining the people we have to make sure that they've got the skills, make sure that they've got the systems and the weapons that they want to train on to be able to hone their skills, but also to make sure they're paid appropriately and effectively, but also that we really do a lot of due diligence to take care of their family members as well. Yeah. So it's not just the fact that we're falling short in terms of recruiting and getting access to youngsters wanting to join the military, but it's a multifaceted challenge that we're facing right now.
One more question for you. What do you make of this Washington Post report saying that some in Trump's camp are considering bringing back the draft? I know that Mr. Trump has since said, no, this is not true. I've never even thought of this idea. Is it an idea that you would support?
It's not. Serving in the military, volunteering especially to serve in the military, it's a privilege. My dad served, I served, and we have our son-in-law serving in Air Force Special Operations and so forth. It is a privilege for men and women to volunteer and to serve their nation. As President Trump, his response to that was that's a ridiculous thought, and it is. I think we should continue to rely on those who volunteer.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe.
And I do want to also read. There's another article I found. This was 6 months ago, and it talks about how the U.S. military see record record lows of recruitment numbers for this year, and it said this was going to be the smallest active duty force since 1940. They said military services missed recruiting goals by 41,000 during the year of 2023. The shortest hits from the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. The Marine Corps and Space Force meets its recruiting goals. So the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, their recruiting numbers are low, but Space Force and Marine Corps, they still say the same. Officials want young people to enlist. The DoD reports that only 23% of young people between 17 and 24 qualified to join the military but even fewer have interest in joining. They say the DoD lists the following that contributes to recruiting challenges. I'm gonna read a couple of them, and then we'll chop it up. So it said a strong economy, which has resulted in many more options for young people, a smaller eligibility population. It said also Generation Z's, the generation born from 1997 to 2012, generally has a low trust in institution. Also, the Generation Z has discretionally followed traditional life and career paths. And one more, young people have fewer family members who serve, which decreases the point to serve for your country. So those are a couple of lists of why people are not getting one recruit to go to the military. So, but that being said, let's go chop it up, man. Go ahead, Akeem. What's your take on it?
It's difficult, man. Roni knows. I got two brothers. One served in the Army. The other one's still actively in the Navy. And he lives in D.C. My sister-in-law was in the Army. Then she was in the reserves. So, like, I come from a family that are civil servants. My sister's a lieutenant. So, and I know I view the country a little bit differently. Like, this is the country. I believe.
Can you link to Stephanie? Because she want to jump in because because her parents in the military, so she has.
Okay. Oh yeah. So definitely. Hold on. Put that out there. Mm-hmm. So for me, like I'm trying, and this is my problem. I'm trying to be careful what I say, but I believe you should go out there and die. I want you to go out there and die for this country. We're too privileged. Certain countries that you don't have a choice. Russia, you automatically going to war. Ethiopia, you automatically going to war. Somalia, you automatically going to war. I want to still be able to eat baguettes and donuts in the morning. Let's get some of the drillers off the street.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Hey, y'all. I would turn my mic on, but I'm at work, so I'm whispering.
Hard working woman.
But okay, so what do y'all think about like the awareness and the consciousness that folks are starting to have when it comes to the government? And it's like a twofold, right? Like we see how veterans are being treated and how they've been treated and been neglected. I think that plays a role in folks not wanting to get into the military. Like my dad served in the military for 30 plus years. And my guy,
thank you for his service.
I will. I was about to diminish everything he does. That nigga didn't do nothing but cut hair. But anyway, I ain't gonna stall him out. But after he did his time though, like he's a security guard. And like when we look at the fallback jobs for a lot of these men and women who are in the military, the VA doesn't really set them up for civilian living. That's number one. But then like also too, like consider reasons or the people who were joining. So like when we look at white America and these white men and women who are joining, the line for patriotism and all this great stuff, like their population is slowly diminishing, which is why we have a lot of these anti-abortion bills going on. on. But then when you look at folks of color who join, like, and I can only speak to my dad's experience, like join the military because there were no other financial gains for him in that, you know what I mean, in that time. So like the military was an out for him. I don't think that's the case for our kids anymore.
No.
I don't think that's the case for folks of color anymore. So we really got to look at, I just think, like, what do we benefit from really joining the military? And I think, like what you said, Hakeem, is like you have to put your life on the line. Like if you're a woman or if you're a parent, you can't have guardianship of your kids. You sign your rights over as a parent. So it's like, what do I win? What do I gain from this other than good scholarships, a home, and dental, like good health care? Like, yeah, I don't think it should. Yeah, I don't know. Like I was like, put the immigrants, like have them serve in the military since we running low already. But even that sketch.
But I also want to tell people too, even if they was to do a draft, you still have to pass their physical and mental capability. It's not just not you just not just getting passed over. If you got bad hearing, your vision ain't good, and they draft you, they might put you on the desk or something.
And you still got to do the ASVAB test.
You got to do that.
And a lot of people really can't pass the ASVAB test either. So.
Yeah. And you got to be, I remember, like, you got to pass the ASVAB test, and you got to be a certain weight for like your height and your weight got to be a certain, you know what I mean? Like and I only know because my height, I'm 4'11", so like they're like, you need to be a certain, you know, I had to weigh like at the time it was like 120 something. But like when you think about the kids, like think about our kids and now. Their social skills, their physical ability, like our kids are nowhere near as active as what we were. Yeah.
No, but let me ask you this, and let's be honest about this. You said something real pivotal that I think goes over a lot of people's head. Black people are making a lot more money now than they ever been. There's many ways. So you did say something too. Look at Kai Cenat. A lot of these young guys are streamers now. A lot of these guys are flipping, doing Toro, Airbnb. The typical 18, 17-year-old are getting money now.
Yeah, they're like multimillionaires.
Multimillionaires. Yeah. So for them to say, we're going to shoot a AK-47 or a Kalashnikov or an M16, they're not thinking about that. But I still feel you got to die for this country.
If you're willing to join the military, that has to be on the line.
I wish I was 20 right now. Yeah. I'm ready to die.
Yeah. And then you know what else, Hakeem? Like, number one, I appreciate your love for the country, but I feel like, and I'm just gonna speak for myself, I feel like our country's flag is the only flag that is a reminder of hate. And like with that reminder of hate, it's hard for me to be like, you know, I'm willing to put my life on put my life on the line for America, because America has not taken care of people who look like me. And I think that's another thing, like until America really comes to the reckoning of what they've done, you know what I mean, to certain communities, I don't see too many of us like laying down for them. That's just my opinion.
There's blood on every country's hand.
I agree.
And mind you, when I say this is a volunteer position, you have no choice in other countries. I'm telling you this. Yes, we got issues here. We still trying to fix it. And let me tell you something. Black people have an invested interest in this country. You have an invested. You built this shit for free for niggas like me who come here and enjoy it and drink Dunkin' Donuts coffee all day.
That's you right, Hakeem, on that.
You see what I'm saying? I'm talking some G shit. I didn't build this country. I'm Haitian. I got a place I call my ancestry home. My granddaddy got 100 acres back there. But I'm just saying, for the folks here who built this, so all these foreigners can come here, use affirmative action they getting deals in this. No, this your country. So y'all have already been dying for this country. And bleeding. Let's not forget the Tuskegee Airmen and the Boricuas. The Boricuas who was in the army, who joined, they thought they were N-words too, but they were black Boricuas who died in World War II and all that. So I'm saying,
Hmm.
Haiti's a third world country. I want to be baby sugar. I'm proud to be there, and I'm willing to go there and eat rice with my hand.
Hmm.
You fuck what you talking about?
Yeah, I would. If you got to know the history of Haiti, Haiti is
Yeah,
a beautiful and powerful place. Like,
country.
let's
Yeah,
keep it
yeah.
a buck.
So my patriotism, and meaning that because I've been awarded so much, I say, hey, and listen, we have nephews here that we convinced him to go to the army. My brother served. My sister-in-law, my brother met his wife in there,
Hmm.
and this is how I feel. But I do understand there's blood on everybody's hand, and I guess it's subjective at times. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to say, and I want to say this too.
Oh, is that my guy, Chicago Rillo?
He's
I
in
love
there.
him.
Happy
And,
Father's Day.
and the thing is about this too, you know, you look at our well, I'll say our generation and our new generation and everything. You know, I saw this too back in the silent generation and the baby boomer generation when they went to school. You know, they had like very very strong PE classes where they had to, you know, they were very very physical back then. At the time. Now, you know, in 2024, you know, a lot of kids are not physical, you know, like they used to be back in the day and everything. And a lot of these kids, you know, they have more options of not looking at the military because, you know, there's so much stuff that we can make money off, especially, you know, with the online, with the internet, especially with the YouTube and social media and everything. And so when these kids look at the military and everything, it never crossed their mind that they will join or get into war like that. Or if we actually start a war with somebody, let's say Russia, you know, Russia is our number one enemy or something like that. So let's say we start a war with Russia or something like that. How are these generations going to act, you know, when we have war or something like that? I don't know how they're going to act. So for me, I feel like it's a little bit more troubling and everything, but you know, we'll just see if it's going to get passed or not when it passes the Senate, and if it passes the Senate, it's going to get signed by the president. Go ahead, Chicago Willa, man. How you doing? Oh, he left.
Dante, you lost connection.
Yeah.